Nick Rishwain is my guest today. Nick's Vice President of Client Relations and Development at experts.com. The topic is DAOs and DeFi. Nick, it's good to see you today, my friend.
Always good to see you, Mitch. Thanks for having me on Spatial IO.
You're very welcome. Thanks for joining us. Today's show is brought to you by ManeuVR. We're an agency that helps traditional businesses transition into the metaverse. So, Nick, we're going to talk about DAOs and DeFi today. What is a DAO, and what DAOs are you involved with?
A DAO, and you're probably somewhat familiar with it, Mitch, but it's supposedly a decentralized autonomous organization. And I say supposedly because I think that's the ideal that they search for in the Web3 space. It is an ideal. It has not necessarily been reached all that sufficiently yet. And I think most of what I've been involved with, I've seen it being a distributed organization, but not so autonomous. So it involves people from all over the world, and they're all working towards accomplishing a goal or multiple goals, and it's very community driven, and sometimes it's not very organized. So oftentimes it's a distributed organization that's not all that organized or efficient. You could call it a flat organization.
Well, I know that you're involved in a couple of DAOs, and I'm guessing the ones you're involved with are very organized. Which ones you're involved with, and what are they working on?
Yeah, so I'm involved in a few of them right now. LexDAO, about the time you were going Metaverse, I was going more DAO life and more DeFi life. And so LexDAO is the one I was primarily involved in. It was how I was sort of dipping my toes in the Web3 world. It's a legal DAO or legal engineering DAO, so it was a crossover with my experience in legal technology. So that was my entryway. I'm also as a member of the Sushi Swap or Sushi.com community, which is a DeFi automated market maker. So it is very much a financial or fintech-based Web3 set up. As a community member, I'm an investor. I'm pretty active there. And then more recently, a buddy of mine from LexDAO and I have started a small company, technically a DAO. What we think might be a more effective DAO would be a small member managed LLC called TaterDAO. And we chose the name because it's fun and we get to be silly with it, but we are actually trying to bring a real property, land classification data and real property on chain so that it can actually be managed on the blockchain. So adding the new financial rails that we've all been playing with to some of those harder to reach, less technologically evolved spaces.
So TaterDAO sounds fascinating. It sounds like it's something that we need. It'll help us be a little bit more efficient, maybe bring down the cost to the consumer. Where did the name Tater came from? I have to ask.
Yeah, so it's my partner James McCall and I. In my hobby outside of my day work, as you know, where we met is through experts.com, but I had gotten involved in this crypto space and this decentralized finance space, and I also am a real estate agent and have been involved in family real estate stuff for many years. And James had much the same. He was in agricultural finance and dealing with farms. He's also a lawyer and a CPA, and so much like you, people with many interests. And Tater, we just kept laughing. How do we put real estate and agriculture and things like this together? But how is it actually fun? So it's not the boring legal and real estate kind of thing. And we just kept laughing about taters and the names and the memes that we could make with it. And so it's basically that simple. It was not a ton of thought in it. That nothing that was deeply thought out. It was made us laugh. It's made others laugh. And so how do we put real estate and LLCs in an NFT so that we can actually transfer property on the blockchain?
If you're having too much fun, Nick, in the Web3 environment, I mean, come on now, right? We're supposed to be strictly
Right.
business. That's what I love about Web3. It seems to have allowed all of us to kind of experience that fun again. There's a new level of community. I think we're all sharing a common interest in something that's happening in real time right before our eyes. And those of us that get it, or at least are interested in it, there's a bond there. And
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. One of the things that's been confusing for me is this concept called DeFi. And what I'd like to do is invite you to walk with me to the table behind us. And if you don't mind, I'd like to pick your brain just a little bit about DeFi. Does that work for you?
Works for me.
All right, let's walk over to the table. So it feels good to stand up and stretch a little bit. This concept of DeFi, Nick, I've never been accused of being the sharpest knife in the drawer. I just have a hard time wrapping my head around the concept. What is DeFi and how are you involved with it?
Yeah, so I've never been accused of being the sharpest knife in the drawer either, Mitch. So taking a lot of time and effort to try and understand. Complicated, and I wasn't a finance guy, so it's been a huge learning experience. But it's essentially trading of currencies, right? And instead of me trading the U.S. dollar for the pound or a euro or something like that, I've learned a little bit about trading cryptocurrencies, or just digital versions of currencies. And DeFi has created kind of probably one of the primary uses on Ethereum blockchain. And I had to use my Ethereum wallet or my MetaMask wallet to log in here on Spatial.io. So I'm assuming some people will be familiar with it, but I always try and stay high level in case others are not. But it in the sushi community, or sushi swap community, they've created an automated market maker. Think of a NASDAQ or a NYSE. They've created their own market for currencies where you can buy, sell, and so you can trade currencies, you can take out loans, and you do all that, and it's all just through the usage of smart contracts. Maybe my interest there, Mitch, has been in governance. How do you operate a business of the size and breadth of sushi, which I think has a revenue in a gross revenue of, let's say, $50 or $60 million a year. That's from trading fees that are taken in each trade.
Wow.
And this is a community-run operation. This is a DAO, almost entirely community-run. They're currently working on legal entities for the operation. This is a much larger organization than TaterDAO that I described earlier, where we want it closely held and member managed. So, we may have 5 or 10 or 20 people who are involved in that operation one day. Right now, there's 2 of us. Sushi has many, many token holders, hundreds of thousands probably. And those are, for lack of a better term, shareholders. And of course, in a rough financial market that we've seen in DeFi, and or all the tokens, all cryptocurrency going down in value. And when markets go down, users go away generally. So I think my interest has been at a governance level. How do you govern this massive organization where people only answer to a community, and it's essentially a flat organization, and it's got developers, so it's got overhead, it's got employees. And how do you manage that? I think that's been my bigger interest. I mean, I certainly came in it from an investment standpoint, spending money, learning to make money in crypto, and then beyond that, I got involved in a community that was really looking to try and run a pretty significant organization. And again, I'm just a member. I'm just an investor and community member. And it's just been really fascinating. How do we do it differently than we did in our known business associations or our known business organizations?
What have you come up with? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We had a glitch. No. I was just curious. So fast forward to what you've learned, maybe from mistakes, from some successes. What are some of the different management, business development styles or tips that you've learned that you can share with our audience?
Boy, I think I'm so deep in it right now. I think I'm still learning. I've learned that a community can really come together in an activist style to prevent what would be a merger or a hostile takeover. That was what those of us in the legal community would probably term a hostile takeover. The community been able to fight back against larger shareholders, for lack of a better term, or larger token holders to try and keep this community run, as opposed to just owned and operated by some large shareholder. So there is a very significant value or substantial value to a strong and involved community. There's a second aspect of that is also interesting. It slows down operational management, ideas, decisions, purchases, employment. It slows down lots of these things, and people can become so dedicated that we can actually be aggravated by potentially decent mergers or acquisition styles or takeovers. So it is very much a learning on how a distributed organization interacts with each other and with larger or outside operations. Probably much more theoretical, but yet being a fully operating concern. Really interesting. So I've seen it on both positives and negatives for operational management of an organization, being quite successful in preventing some things, but maybe so successful in preventing some things that we have now knee-jerk reactions to potentially helpful processes or process improvements or opportunities.
So much to know, so much to learn. Things are changing so quickly. I mean, you and I started off years ago playing around in the early days of social media and live stream or live video. When we fast forward to today from Web 2 to Web 3, Nick, it's interesting how we've kind of gone down different paths over the last couple of years. I went down the Metaverse NFT path. You kind of deviated over to the DeFi path, as we've been talking about, and DAOs. Why did you go DeFi rather than maybe the traditional Metaverse NFT path that a lot of us have taken?
Yeah, I think it was just more interest to me. Over on the TaterDAO front, we're certainly using NFTs, just not the NFTs that most people are used to, the cute little cartoonish animal-looking faces. Rather, we're using NFTs to collect real property data. So less sexy, less fun and whimsical and things like that than what other people are using them for. But we can actually store an LLC, legal entity in an NFT. So I'm in that space, but the metaverse, Mitch, in fact, Nabil Zoom Out, who's the CEO of experts.com, and he's all in on the metaverse with you. He's like, if Mitch wants to have me on, I'll come on too. I'm all in on the metaverse. He's with you on this. He's all excited about it. You can clap about it. So we were having this conversation in the office the other day, and I said, I think for me, the metaverse was and I've had the headsets, I've done the VR stuff. It was just of less interest because I'm already in front of computers and on the computer all day long at Experts. And I go home and I work on Tater or Sushi or something like that. And so I'm already in front of the internet, cyberspace so much, if we're going to use some of our older terms. And I think I just didn't want to be looped in anymore. So that whole idea, I needed a break from being in cyberspace.
I thought you were going to throw the World Wide Web term at me.
Yeah.
Talk about old school. You almost did. Half of our viewers wouldn't even know what that is. Right. I'm aging myself, not you. Listen, Nick, this has been fun, and I am glad that you found the time from your duties and your job as Vice President of Client Relations and Development at experts.com, the best place for anyone to find an expert witness, all you trial lawyers out there. Nick and experts.com. They're our go-to. I encourage you to check them out if you need a good expert witness to win your case. But what's fun, Nick, is we're meeting in the metaverse right now. We're meeting in the spatial metaverse. As you can see, the portals we've got up, ManeuVR, French Riviera, the ManeuVR penthouse is just a click away to a digital cocktail or maybe a digital spa on the rooftop of the penthouse. So once we're done recording, I'm going to hopefully twist your arm and we'll be able to chill and watch the sunset together from the rooftop of the penthouse. How's that sound with you? Are you good?
Sounds good.
All right. Yep. Listen, everyone, if you want
to... I gotta say, before you wrap it up entirely, I gotta say congratulations to Garrett, your son Garrett, for getting the job at VaynerMedia. That's great.
Thank you, Nick. He's super excited, and working with a family member, in this case my son, on the ManeuVR startup since February. That's been a lot of fun. We're spending a lot of time communicating together, and he starts at VaynerMedia, I believe, the second week of September. So we're very excited about that. Thanks, Nick.
That's great.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Connect with Nick over on experts.com, over on LinkedIn, his Twitter feed. And between now and the next time we see each other in real life or in the metaverse, enjoy the journey and never stop making each day your masterpiece. Bye-bye, everybody.